The lawyers have gone. The papers are all signed. Tomorrow, when the sun comes up, this ranch, it all becomes yours. 100 years of Henderson land, a legacy of sweat and blood and hard-won victories, passed down to you. You're 21 years old, a man in the eyes of the law. But in my eyes, you are still a boy with soft hands and a city heart. And I am filled with a pride so fierce it aches, and a fear so deep it keeps me awake at night. I've watched you this past year since your father passed. I've seen you try. I've seen you mend a fence, though your lines weren't straight. I've seen you ride, though you still sit a horse like a sack of feed. And I've seen your heart. It's a good heart, son, but it's a gentle heart. And this land, this life, it does not reward gentleness. It respects only strength, discipline, and an unshakable will. Tonight, before this land becomes your burden and your blessing, I need to give you one last lesson. A final piece of your inheritance. It is a lesson in the language this family has always understood, the language of the leather. He gestures to the thick leather strap on the table. I know what you're thinking. You're a man now. You're the master of this ranch tomorrow. But tonight, you are still my grandson. You are still the boy I taught to fish, the boy I watched grow up to fast, too far away, in that clean, soft city. And there is still a softness in you that needs to be hardened. A final, memorable reminder of the foundation upon which this family and this ranch was built. I need you to understand where I come from, boy, so you understand the lesson that is coming. I was raised by a man who was more iron than flesh. My father, your great-grandfather, he carved this ranch out of nothing but rock and ambition. His love was not spoken in soft words. It was shown in the calluses on his hands and the sweat on his brow. And his discipline was absolute. If I was late for morning chores, I would feel the bite of his belt before breakfast. If I spoke back, I would be taken to the barn, bent over a hay bale, and strapped until the defiance was beaten out of me. It was not anger. It was forging. He was hammering the weakness out of me, shaping me into a man who could survive a drought, a blizzard, a world that gives you nothing you haven't earned through pain. That discipline is in my bones. It is in the very soil of this land. I have held it back with you. Your mother, she was a gentle soul. She believed in kindness, in second chances. I honored her wishes. I watched you grow up with a freedom I never knew, a softness I was never allowed. But now she is gone, and you are standing on the precipice of a man's responsibility. And I see the fear in your eyes. You are afraid you are not strong enough. You are right to be afraid, but you will be. I will make sure of it. Tonight, we will have one final symbolic correction. Not for a crime you have committed, but for the trials you are about to face. I need to send you into your new life with a lesson so clear, so sharp, it will burn in your memory on the days when you are tired, when you are tempted to take the easy path. I need you to remember the sting of your own heritage. I want you to go to your room. In the old cedar chest at the foot of your bed, you will find a set of my old work clothes from when I was your age. A simple pair of denim overalls and a flannel shirt. They will be too big for you. That is the point. I want you to feel how much you still have to grow to fill my shoes. You will put them on, and then you will return to me here. We will finish this tonight. This is not a punishment for a boy. This is a coronation for a man. Now go. The scene opens exactly as the first part ended. The grandfather sits in his leather chair, his face calm and resolute, waiting. The only sound is the crackle of a fire in the stone fireplace. After a long, tense pause, there is a quiet knock at the study door. Narrator: grandfather, you may enter. Thomas enters. He is now dressed in his grandfather's old, oversized overalls and flannel shirt. He looks small, young, and profoundly vulnerable. He stands before the desk, his usual city confidence completely gone. That is better. Now you look like a boy who is ready to learn. He stands up and picks up the heavy leather strap from the table. He walks around the desk until he is standing in front of his grandson. I am not your father. I am not a man of gentle words. I am a man of the land, and the land teaches its lessons with a hard hand. You are about to face storms, both in the sky and in your own heart. You will face droughts that test your spirit and losses that break it. And in those moments, your clever words and your soft hands will be useless. All you will have is your discipline. the strength to get up before the sun when your body aches, the resolve to face a dying herd when your heart is breaking. That strength is what I am giving you tonight. He gestures to the large, sturdy oak desk. You will bend over that desk. You will brace your hands on its surface. Thomas's eyes are wide with a mixture of fear and a strange, reluctant understanding. He looks at his grandfather, at the hard love etched in the lines on his face. With a trembling breath, he turns and does as he is told, the rough denim of the overalls stretching taut across his backside. This is not to shame you, son. This is to arm you. You will receive 10 strikes, one for every year you have been a man in the eyes of the law and have not yet understood what that means. You will remember this moment. You will remember the feel of this leather, and it will make you strong. He raises the strap. The first strike is a loud, explosive crack that echoes in the quiet, fire-lit study. Thomas cries out, his body lurching against the desk. 1. That is for the land. It is hard, and it is unforgiving. Crack. 2. That is for the livestock. Their lives are in your hands. He continues the count, his voice a steady, powerful rhythm against the sharp cracks of the leather. The punishment is severe, methodical, and delivered not with anger, but with a deep, solemn purpose. By the final strike, Thomas is weeping, his pride stripped away, leaving only the raw, aching reality of the lesson. Now, stand up and face me. Thomas slowly pushes himself up, his body trembling, his face streaked with tears. He stands before his grandfather, humbled and raw. The pain will fade, but the lesson will remain. The world is a hard place, Thomas. It does not care about your feelings. It only respects your strength, your discipline. That is the final piece of your inheritance. He steps forward and, for the first time, pulls his grandson into a rough, powerful hug. Now you are ready. Go get some sleep. The sun comes up early, and tomorrow, the ranch is yours. The story then transitions into a narrative summary of the following year. Thomas did not sleep much that night. His backside throbbed with a fiery, intense pain, but his mind was strangely clear. He lay in bed and felt the weight of the 100 years of history that was now his to carry. The next morning, he was up before the sun. He put on his own work clothes, no longer a costume, but a uniform. He met his grandfather in the kitchen, and they shared a silent cup of coffee as the first light of dawn broke over the mountains. The first year was the hardest of his life. He faced a blizzard that threatened to wipe out half his herd. He dealt with a drought that turned his pastures to dust. He had to learn to birth a calf in the middle of a freezing night and to put down a horse he had grown to love. There were moments when he was so exhausted, so beaten down, that he wanted to quit, to sell the land, to run back to the easy softness of the city. But in those darkest moments, he would feel a ghost of a sting, a memory of fire on his skin, and he would hear his grandfather's voice in his head, counting, reminding him of what it meant to endure. And he would get up, and he would face the day. A year to the day after he had inherited the ranch, he was standing on the porch, looking out at the land. It was his. He was not the boy who had arrived. He was a man, his hands calloused, his face weathered, his heart forged in the crucible of that first hard year. His grandfather came out and stood beside him, handing him a cup of coffee. He looked at his grandson, at the quiet strength in his eyes, and he gave a single, proud nod. "The land has been good to you, son," he said. Thomas looked at the endless expanse of his home. "No, Grandpa," he replied, a small, knowing smile on his face. "You were." He had been given a lesson in the language of the leather, a final, painful inheritance that had hurt like hell, but had ultimately saved his soul. He was a Henderson, and he was finally home.